وصلى اللهم سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد وقال الله تعالى في القرآن العظيم استغفروا ربكم إنه كان غفارا يرسل السماء عليكم مدرارا ويمددكم بأموال وبنين ويجعل لكم جنات ويجعل لكم أنهارا وقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم والله إني لأستغفر الله وأتوب إليه في اليوم أكثر من 70 مرة. My brothers and sisters in Islam, today I just want to discuss with you this topic, and that is Istigfar. What Istigfar means and why we require it, and how much Rasulullah ﷺ used to do, and how much he encouraged us to do Istigfar, to seek forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These all things we discussed today. These all things we're going to talk about today. So let me tell you what Istigfar means actually. The first thing, let me tell you that Istigfar means to seek forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, every one of us, each one of us is prone to commit mistake. We all commit mistake. We all human. We do commit mistake. Most of the time, unintentionally, intentionally, we do commit mistake. So whenever we commit mistake, we are asked to seek forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whenever we do istighfar, whenever we seek forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah blesses us not only just forgiveness from Him, but He blesses us with most of other advantages also at the same time, most of the other ni'mas also at the same time. He blesses us with lot of bounties along with this seeking forgiveness. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Istaghfiru rabbakum innahu kana ghaffara. Seek forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is most forgiving. He forgives. Whenever we do istighfar, whenever we commit mistake, whenever we do some mistakes intentionally, unintentionally, just come to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, seek forgiveness with the remorse, with regret. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always there to welcome us, and He is most forgiving. Innahu kana ghaffara. He will forgive us. What else we get out of istighfar? Whenever we do istighfar, what else we get? What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses us with? More and more. So the first thing He does, yursil as-samaa alaykum midrara. We get these all things, like He will give us continuous rains. Wa yumdidkum bi amwal. He will increase us in wealth. He will increase our wealth. وَبَنِينَ, and the children. He will increase in children also. وَيَجْعَلْ لَكُمْ جَنَّاتٍ, make us gardens. He will make the gardens fruitful. وَيَجْعَلْ لَكُمْ أَنْهَارًا, He will make the rivers flow, so that the risk and all, everything comes out, and everything started happening, and the human can take the risk, can take livelihood, can earn livelihood, can do everything out of these things. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whenever someone does istighfar, He not only forgives the slave, but what He does more, He gives a lot of bounties. He blesses a lot of bounties also at the same time. He will give the rain, He will give the children, He will give jannat, baghat, and He will give gardens, He will give fruits. He started giving everything. So that's why, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, whenever we commit mistake, and we are committing mistakes intentionally, unintentionally, sometime or the other, we are prone to mistake. We are human, we do commit mistake. So what we have to do, we have to come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and say, oh my Lord, I commit mistake, please forgive me, please forgive my sins. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in one of the Hadees Qudsi, what happens when a person comes back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he seeks forgiveness, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives whatever the sins he committed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Hadees Qudsi, لَوْ بَلَغَتْ ذُنُوبُكَ عَنَانَ السَّمَاءِ ثم استغفرتني غفرت لك ولا أبالي. If a slave comes to me and he had, you know, the sins piling up to the sky, to the clouds, to the skies, and still he comes back and asks forgiveness, لغفرت لك, I will forgive you, and ولا أبالي, I don't care. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in one of the hadith, والله إني لأستغفر الله وأتوب إليه في اليوم أكثر من 70 مرة. I see forgiveness and I turn towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in repentance more than 70 times in a day. So being a prophet, being forgiven, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is turning back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is seeking forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is the most beloved. He is the most respected. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves him the most. He is mahboob of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forgiven each and everything of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, لِيَغْفِرَ لَكَ اللَّهُ مَا تَقَدَّمَ مِن ذَنْبِكَ وَمَا تَأَخَّرَ. Allah has forgiven everything of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, we have to come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala whenever we commit mistake. And whenever we commit mistake and come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah is welcoming us. Allah welcomes us. In one of the narration, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Man lazima al-istighfar, ja'ala Allahu min kulli dhiqin makhraja, wa min kulli hammin faraja, wa razaqahu min haythu la yahtasib." My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, everybody is tense in this fast-paced world. Everybody is tense. Everybody is telling like, I have tension, I am tense. Now Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is giving the remedy here for the tension, for the hum and gham, for any kind of distress and depression, and for the most wanted thing in the world everybody is just behind, and that is the rizq. Three of the things Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is just mentioning in this hadith. The first one, جَعَلَ اللَّهُ مِن كُلِّ ضِيقٍ مَخْرَجًا. Allah makes the way out of any difficulty, any difficult circumstances if you are in. Just do istighfar, continuous istighfar, stick to the istighfar, and Allah will surely make a way out of it. Allah will surely make a way out of it. Because who is saying this? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Amin, the Sadiq, the one who never lied. He was Sadiq al-Amin. He is telling, "Man lazima al-istighfar, ja'ala Allahu min kulli dhiqin makhraja." Allah makes a way out of any difficulty for the one who continuously does istighfar. Wa min kulli hammin faraja. The second thing, if you have any kind of distress, if you have any kind of tension, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make a way out of it also. Allah frees you. Allah will freeze you from this tension, from this distress. Now we find most of the people distressed this time around, especially in this COVID-19. We find people getting depressed. We find people, they are just going into the tension. They are going into the depression because of these difficult circumstances, whatever we are in now. So what we have to do actually to just come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, seek forgiveness from the sins you have committed, and intentionally, unintentionally, come back to Him. So what Allah will do, the second thing, وَمِن كُلِّ هَمٍّ فَرَجًا. Allah will give you relief from any kind of distress if you are in. وَرَزَقَهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. And the most wanted thing also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will provide you, that is, He will provide you the rizq that you can never imagine. You will not be able to imagine that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will provide you this, income, will provide you the rizq, livelihood. رَزَقَهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. So my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, these are added advantage. When a person comes back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala after committing a sin with the remorse, with regret, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not only forgives him, but He gives him more and more. He blesses him with more advantages, with more blessings, with more bounties, added advantage, added offers. As I mentioned in the ayah, Allah will give these all things: rains, waters, gardens, and the rizq. As I mentioned in the hadith also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you relief. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will free you from distress, from any kind of tension. And the most wanted thing also Allah will give you, will provide you. And out of your imagination, you will not be able to imagine that. And Allah will provide you the rizq from there. So let's come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let's turn back in repentance towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and seek forgiveness. Ask forgiveness. He is Ghafoor. Innahu huwal Ghafoorur Rahim. Let me tell you one more ayah. لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله إن الله يغفر الذنوب جميعا. Don't get disappointed. لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله, from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إن الله يغفر الذنوب جميعا. He forgives each and every guna you committed, each and every sin you committed or a person committed. إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. He is most forgiving. He is oft forgiving. So my dear brothers and sisters, let's come back. Let's turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and seek forgiveness and enjoy the blessings and the bounties Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is gonna bless us with after seeking forgiveness. Thank you so much. Jazakumullah khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.